Hello, and welcome to my review of the Book of Boba Fett, Episode 6, directed by Dave Filoni. And I must say, I really like this one. Last couple of episodes of the series have been pretty good, or at least this one and the last one. I feel like I was waiting for things to get dumb a lot, but it didn't really happen. They brought back some characters that I didn't really like, but the mods were in it for a short period, but they didn't really focus on them. They just showed them standing at a table, and so I was like, when I saw them, I was thinking, "Uh-oh, it's about to get dumb," but it didn't, because then they had the mayor of the town standing around this table at one point, and I was like, I don't know, when I just see those characters. I just dislike them so much because they're so cartoony and stupid. But they didn't really focus on him that much. They just kind of like, oh, here's a 2 or 3 seconds of comic relief, of bad comic relief, where they're like, I think they said something mean to the mayor, and then the Gamorrean guard was like you know how in the 90s, like a lot of these bullying types would walk up to people and go, like, with their fists out, like try to make people flinch. In the 90s, people used to do that a lot, and a Gamorrean guard basically did that to him, and then he was gone. Then there was like the sheriff from the first episode of season 2 of The Mandalorian, when they were fighting that crate dragon. They brought him back, and I guess I don't really dislike him. I just felt like I was remembering that episode, and I didn't really like it, but he was actually pretty good in this episode. Boba Fett was barely in this one as well, and it's kind of weird. It's kind of hard to judge, because, like, if I were a cold-blooded reptile of a director, I would probably say, yeah, Boba Fett should be in the Book of Boba Fett, but, like, I'm biased because I love Din Djarin and I love Luke Skywalker, who was in this episode, and I was really happy about that. But yeah, Boba Fett barely in it, and I have mixed feelings about it. I feel like I should be wanting to see him, but I didn't mind. I was happy watching the other characters. Alright, so the sheriff comes back. He's in the first scene, and he has a bit of a shootout with the Pike Syndicate. Like, I feel like up until this point, the Pikes did a couple of things that were wrong, but I feel like I didn't really see them that much. Like, we saw them in the train shootout. We saw them when they were driving through the desert and shooting up the sand people. And then we saw Boba Fett, like, walk into one of their bosses, to one of his offices, and be like, "You better pay me tribute." And he's like, "I'm not paying you tribute. I'm paying tribute to these other guys." And then Boba Fett was sad. And then, and I don't think we really saw much of them. I don't remember seeing too much. I haven't really been getting a sense that they're really bad people, other than that they mass murder sand people for fun when they're driving through the desert. But that was like one scene. Like, I feel like they should have been building, and like, oh, these Pikes are just like their evil behavior is escalating. In this episode, they kind of shoehorned some of that in. Like the sheriff from season 1 or season 2, episode 1, he caught them doing a drug deal, and that was kind of cool. Like, he at one point, basically, he was just he was like trash talking to them, and telling them that they better stop doing I guess, is spice a drug? I'm not sure if spice is a drug, but I guess it's illegal. So he catches them, and then he was like just sassing them, and he was telling them to get the hell off his land, and so 3 of them just were like, "Oh, we'll fight. We'll shoot it out with you." So they draw on him, and he kills 3 of them, but there's 1 left. And he's like, "You better unload your cargo and get the hell out of here." So the Pike Syndicate guy puts the box of spice. It looked like a box of dirt, but I guess it was spice. and he's like, there's enough drugs here to buy this whole town. And eventually he gets in the speeder and speeds off. And then so the sheriff just kicks over the spice. And I thought that was kind of an endearing move for him, because like he's just like, he doesn't care about being rich. He's like a good-hearted person. What else happened? Mandalorian goes back to goes to the planet where Luke is building his Jedi temple, and I was so happy to see Luke. Like, at first I was like, how are they going to do this? Is Luke Skywalker going to look all cheesy and like obvious deep fake? And he looked good, I must say. It was kind of cool to see Mark Hamill looking like young Mark Hamill. And they had Mark Hamill do the voices, I guess. And it just, I felt like it was pretty seamless. Maybe there were like a couple times when it wasn't perfect, but like those moments were only like brief moments. Like most of the time, Luke Skywalker looked dead on. Like it looked like Mark Hamill, a young Mark Hamill, and like even when he was running around, there were some shots when he had little Baby Yoda in a backpack, kind of like he did, and he had regular original Yoda flavor in a backpack in Empire Strikes Back, and he was running through the woods and doing flips. Like even some of the movements that they had Luke do were they made it look like they made him look in the movies. Yeah, I really liked seeing Luke and Baby Yoda, and again, like there were a lot of scenes where I guess Luke was training Baby Yoda, and again, if I was a cold-blooded reptile of a director, I'd probably be like, some of this can go. You can cut some of this out. But then biased Dan, who's like, I really love Luke Skywalker. I like Baby Yoda. I like Din Djarin. Like I was biased, and I didn't like. Maybe this makes me hypocritical, but it didn't, like, I liked it. I like, a lot of it was just, this is Luke Skywalker candy. Like, you know, like some people use the word eye candy. This is eye candy of Luke Skywalker, and I didn't mind it at all. I was just like, wow, these scenes, I don't know, like they're not like polished. They're not like edited down to the essential elements. Like a lot of it just seemed like it. You could probably judge some of it to be superfluous, but I could probably watch Luke Skywalker and Baby Yoda at a diner. I could probably watch them like riding bikes, just doing like extracurricular fun activities. Ooh, it's arts and crafts time at Jedi school. They're gonna make a snowflake like out of construction paper. I don't know. It's like it just didn't bug me because they made Luke look so good, and I was so impressed by how good Luke looked that I and some of it was so like. Well, let me talk about something else first before I talk about that. So Din Djarin tries to go back to the Jedi Temple planet to see Grogu, and Ahsoka Tano is there, and she's just like, yeah, it's not good. Grogu is still developing. He can't be seeing you. He can't be attached to you. Like your relationship with him could negatively affect his growth. And it was so emotional. Like Din Djarin was like a father to Baby Yoda for 2 seasons, and eventually it's like he can't. They decided it's best that he can't go see him. And it was just so like heavy on my heart, and it was just like I felt my eyes tearing up, and I'm like, what am I, Kevin Smith now? Like crying over Star Wars. I didn't cry, but I was definitely like tearing up, and like my eyes were watery. And man, that's why the Mandalorian as a series is better. That's why they've been writing the Mandalorian as a better character than Boba Fett, because they have emotional weight. They have choices that are hard to make. At one point, like toward the end of the episode, Luke Skywalker takes the present that Din Djarin left for Baby Yoda, and it's like this chainmail Beskar armor, and then he gives him, he's like, you can have this, or you can have Yoda's lightsaber. You can't have both. You got to choose your path. And it's like, oh my god, jeez, Luke. But like, it's just it seems like such a difficult choice, because as the viewer, like Din Djarin is like Baby Yoda's dad, and the lightsaber, it's like if you think about what the choices Baby Yoda has, he can choose to be with his dad and work his foster dad and work with the Mandalorians, or he can be a Jedi. And it's like, the Mandalorian stuff, is Baby Yoda gonna be flying around in a jetpack and punching people? No, he's so small. Size matters in the Mandalorian lifestyle, but size matters not in the Jedi path. So the Jedi path it just seems like it's clearly the obvious choice of what he should choose. But at the same time, we're human, and like most of us have families, most of us have fathers, most of us have like friends and relationships. So like, we're leaning toward like, oh, but he should choose Din Djarin, and it's just like, it's a choice. It's like, you got to choose between your family and this path that's been preordained for you. That's why the Mandalorian characters are so much better, because they have so much inner conflict within them. Whereas Boba Fett, he barely does anything. And like, sometimes I think, did they ruin Boba Fett's character? Am I gonna be like, oh, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, they ruined my childhood, like all those Star Wars nerds? I didn't like the prequels either, but I never claimed that George Lucas ruined my childhood after watching them. But did they ruin Boba Fett? Because like, he used to be so mysterious and cool, but now he's an old guy. He chatters a lot and pets animals and feeds them small scraps of meat. Barely fights, and he outsources all of his problems to other people. He outsources his problems to Fennec Shand and to these goofy mod characters, to Gamorrean guards, to Wookiees, and now he fucking outsourced all of his problems to the characters in a different freaking show. He barely does anything. And yeah, I feel like that's why The Mandalorian is so much better, because all the choices. What else do I want to talk about? Yeah, I feel like Grogu, from this point on, I feel like the writers really should be treading lightly in how they handle Grogu. Because Grogu, they're developing him a little bit more. He's clearly not a baby, because he's I mean, again, he's 50 years old. He's not a baby as humans understand a baby. In one of the flashbacks of Grogu, when Luke was mind melding with him, he shows Grogu's vision, and he just shows like clone troopers just massacring Jedi. Like, he's seen adult stuff. And yeah, like, eventually Grogu's gonna advance to the point where he might start talking. How are they gonna handle his voice? What's his voice gonna sound like? Like that, I feel like you gotta tread carefully, because like Grogu right now, his whole appeal is based on his babyish good looks and his cuteness. What happens when he becomes an awkward teenager and like he starts to look a little bit more like Yoda? Like, Baby Yoda's got these cute mugwai eyes, like they're so big and babyish, but Yoda's eyes were like small and kind of beady. And like, the more he moves toward looking like Yoda, the less cuteness he is going to have, and I feel like the more opportunities for ruining his character and being awkward. I feel like they got to tread lightly with him. But, you know, some of his movements, like, you could tell they looked like puppet movements, like maybe like a string puppet movement or something. But they were skilled in doing it. They did a good job. Like when Baby Yoda was hopping from rock to rock. And at one point when Luke was like having this remote that was shooting at Baby Yoda, it was like zapping him, and I was like, "Geez, Luke, you're cold. You're freaking cold." And but I guess like the remote, you can set it to different settings, but it just felt like maybe they should try something a little less fiery. There was kind of a scene where Luke was walking with Baby Yoda, and Baby Yoda couldn't keep up, so Luke was like using the Force and just moving up, like lifting and moving him along. At first I was like, that's kind of corny, but it's like, okay, you know, it seems like something that would happen. At the end, they brought the sheriff back, because like the Mandalorian went to this sheriff guy. I think his name is Cobb Banth. And he was like, I need you to round up a posse so we can fight these Pikes. Because I think I forgot to finish my thought about the Pikes. They were dealing drugs in the beginning, and I forget the significance of the nightclub. But at one point they just brought in a bucket and they put it on the table and they walked out, and then this C-3PO protocol droid was like, "Oh, you forgot your bucket," and then the whole place just explodes. And I forget what the significance of that nightclub was, but the Pikes blew them up. So yeah, their misdeeds were so slowly escalating, and that was cool. I like that nightclub. Like, it just seemed a little bit grittier and darker and, you know, grungier, kind of like the Cantina a little bit more. And the music this time, I really liked it. It just sounded not recognizably American. Like, the music had an alien quality to it, and I feel like that's what music in Star Wars should be. It should be somewhat unrecognizable. Like, I feel like you shouldn't just be like, "Oh, that's American." Like in Return of the Jedi, the original form of it, there was just like this elephant trunk lady with skinny arms and legs. She was just standing in the background and like bump 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 and singing in this alien language, and it kind of had like a disco quality to it, but it was different enough that it sounded definitely sounded 70s, but like to my ears it doesn't sound like something I hear on the radio all the time, and that's why it was good. And in this bar scene, the music, I felt like it was alien enough that it worked. So anyway, the Mandalorian goes to get the sheriff to have him recruit some people to fight the Pikes. And he was like, "I'll think about it." And then at the end of the show, this gunfighter walks into town. And I don't really know about I don't really know too much about the cartoon series. I've never watched any of the Star Wars cartoons other than I saw a couple of episodes of that Droids show, and I saw the cartoon from the Christmas holiday special, but I never watched the Clone Wars cartoons, and so some of these characters I'm not too familiar with. I've heard some guy from Geeks and Gamers talk about how he loved this character. I think, if I remember correctly, his name was Cad Bane. I keep mixing up the names between Cobb Banth and Cad Bane. But this guy walks into town, and at first I was like, uh-oh, a cartoon? Another cartoon character? But I feel like they treated him well. Like, he looked creepy. Like, they were like, standing in the street talking trash again, and, like, this Cad Bane character had these creepy-looking red eyes, and, it was kind of, just looking at how creepy this dude looked, it was like unsettling, and like that was so good. How like I'm pretty sure I've seen aliens like that of his species in other movies, but they were wearing like Western attire, like, you know, there was a very Western theme. Like, they were standing in the street like about to shoot it out, and they were talking trash about who better join who and who better surrender. And then, like, this young fella came out, and Cobb Banth was like, "Get back inside, boy! If you can't run with the big dogs, you better get up on the porch with the puppies." So, and the inexperienced young guy was like, "I'm a big boy. I want to be a part of this." And he's like, "Get back in the house!" But the guy was like refusing. And it reminded me of Unforgiven, where like Unforgiven is one of my favorite. It's probably my favorite Western of all time. And the whole movie is just basically them talking about how gunfighters fight. It's just like people having conversations about gunfighting. And at one point, like, there was this biographer of English Bob, and he became the biographer of Little Bill Daggett. And he would be taking notes like, oh, an experienced gunfighter always fires on the most experienced shot first. And that scene kind of reminded me of that, in that so Cobb Vanth and Cad Bane were standing in the street, and this little yapper was up on the porch, and the little yapper guy lost his nerve, and in Unforgiven they say, oh, if you panic, you're gonna be shooting all over the place. And so he was so frazzled that he reached for his gun and he couldn't even get it out of his holster. Like he was like stuck and he was like fumbling. But because like because they say the most experienced gunfighter always fires on the most experienced guy first, he shoots the Cobb Vanth guy and kills him. And then he just shoots the other guy. He just at his leisure just popped dead. But it was like that young guy just signed Cobb Vanth's death warrant. Like he just effed it up for everybody. He just like escalated things, and okay, you just killed your mentor, and now you're dead. It was just a very Unforgiven like scene. Not in not that it ripped off Unforgiven in a millennial fashion, the way millennials do, but it seemed like it used the tenements of Unforgiven, and it just, I don't know, it was interesting. Let's see, do I have anything else to... I don't really feel like I have much to complain about. All I really complained about in this episode is I hate the mods. I don't want to see him. Wah. I don't like the mayor. Wah. I feel like I liked it a lot. I feel like if I had to give this one a score, I'd go A. Yeah, this was like a really good episode. I wouldn't say it's a perfect episode, but it's pretty close. Like, it had the Luke Skywalker candy. It had all these emotional moments that tugged on my heartstrings. It had man, it was just, there was a lot of tension, and that's what I like. Baby Yoda's cute, but I don't mind Baby Yoda's cuteness because, I don't know, they don't shove it down your throat too much. Like, real life, there's cuteness in real life, and I feel like Baby Yoda's cuteness is closer to the cuteness you'd see in real life, and it's farther away from the cuteness you'd find in a cartoon for little girls. And I think that's why I tolerate Baby Yoda's cuteness. So yeah, I guess I can't really think of much else that I want to cover. Oh yeah, I was gonna talk about Ahsoka Tano being there, and I was kind of curious about what her role on the Jedi Temple planet was gonna be, because it seemed like Luke is a Jedi, but he just completed his Jedi training, and he's done some amazing things. But there are like times when, like there was a time when Ahsoka Tano, it seemed like she showed up on the planet, and she didn't seem like she wanted to be a teacher or in some sort of managerial role or something like that. But she was caring enough to check in on Luke. Like Luke, he's a man. He's an experienced man, but in some ways I feel like he's slightly emotionally youthful and young. And like I remember there was one scene where Ahsoka Tano was like chatting with him and telling him that that she was gonna head back to do whatever the hell she was doing, probably gonna go look for Vice Admiral or Grand Admiral Thrawn. And Luke was like, am I gonna see you again? Because he's never taught anybody. Like being a teacher, especially for the first time, is it's a lot. There's a lot of weight on your shoulders, and I just kind of thought it was interesting how Luke kind of like the whole time he's very tranquil and serene, but like when Ahsoka Tano, who's kind of like maybe old enough to be his mother, and seemed like maybe she was being sort of like a motherly figure in a way. But like you just saw Luke crack just a little bit, and I thought that was an interesting little shot. It's like, are you gonna come back? Because, like, yeah, Baby Yoda's got some heavy choices to make, but so does Luke. Like, Luke's got a huge undertaking ahead of him where he's got to build this Jedi temple, find students, teach them. Like, that's a tall order. Yeah, like, sometimes Mark Hamill's delivery seemed like it was very rigid, but I think that's just the character, because Mark Hamill is a damn good actor. Like, if you even though I hated The Last Jedi, Mark Hamill was a great. His performance was good, even though I hated everything about the movie. He did what was asked of him. Even if you look at the original Star Wars, Mark Hamill is a damn good actor. Like he's good at feeling emotional conflict, and like I have a lot of respect for Mark Hamill's acting, but Luke Skywalker, he's like trying his darndest to be this tranquil, serene Jedi Master, and so he does come across as being a little rigid at times. But I feel like that's just the character doing that. That's his struggle to be at peace and not let his emotions take over him. But except for that one part where, like, when Ahsoka was gonna leave, and he just like, you could see it in his face. All right, I think I'm chattering and babbling a little too much. I give this one an A. Thanks for watching. Please check out some cartoons on my channel. My patron is Jake Paulison. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.